Some good news. The US Marshals Service found 39 missing children in Georgia over 2 weeks in a mission known as Operation Not Forgotten, and the agency announced in a press release this week that the operation led to the rescue of 26 children and the safe location of 13 others. These missing children were considered to be some of the most at-risk and challenging recovery cases in the area, based on indications of high-risk factors such as victimization of child sex trafficking, child exploitation, sexual abuse, physical abuse, and medical or mental health conditions. Other children were located at the request of law enforcement to ensure their well-being, and the USMS investigators were able to confirm each child's location in person and ensure their safety and welfare. 9 criminal associates were also arrested, and investigators cleared 26 arrest warrants. Investigators also filed additional charges for alleged crimes relating to sex trafficking, parental kidnapping, registered sex offender violations, drugs and weapons possession, and custodial interference, according to the US Marshal Services. This is one of many raids quietly going on around the country and indeed the world at the moment. As this heinous practice gets exposed now for all to see, and the children can try and rebuild their lives following harrowing events that have unfolded in the recent years. Childhoods stolen by psychopaths, pushing their childlike thinking adult bodies onto children for money, sexual gratification, and power games. In other good news this week, US Customs and Border Protection officials report the disruption of more than 160 human smuggling stash house operations in this fiscal year alone, just in South Texas. 160 in South Texas alone. And the data provides a rare glimpse into the levels of Mexican cartel stash house operations occurring in this region alone. And in a tweet, the CBP reported that in South Texas, in the fiscal year 2020, which still has 2 months left in the year, the agency has already dismantled an astounding 160 stash houses and rescued over 1,600 people. The not so good news. The US economy shrank at an alarming annual rate of 31.7% during the April-June quarter as it struggled under the weight of the fake pandemic. The Commerce Department downgraded its earlier estimates of the US gross domestic product last quarter, finding the devastation was slightly less than the 32.9 annualized contraction it had estimated at the end of July. And it was the sharpest quarterly drop on record, with the previous worst quarterly fall since record keeping began in 1947 and a 10% annualized loss in 1958. Now, in the last quarter, businesses closed and millions of workers lost their jobs as the world's largest economy went into lockdown mode in what succeeded only fitfully in limiting the spread of the reported viral infections. Unemployment is still high at 10.2%, it's much higher than that, and roughly 1 million people are applying for jobless aid each week, even as the amount of aid they receive has shrunk, courtesy of Pelosi and the Democrats, yet they can give $25 billion to the US Postal Service, who didn't actually want or need the money. And it says, though the stock market and home sales are surging, the broader economy still shows signs of stalling and millions face potential evictions from their homes. Now, Trump did put a moratorium on people being evicted, and yet, predictably, they left out the key portion of it, is where's the help for the landlords? Because if the landlords go bust and the snake oil bank people take the house away, where are the people going to live? Where's the funding for the landlords that's going to keep people in their homes or apartments? Oh, forgot. That means we the people might get some money, when clearly, to date, that doesn't happen too often, does it? The Victorian government in Australia is facing a potential class action expected to be to the tune of several $billions brought about by the business that have been shut down during the state's stage 4 restrictions. And the class action is open to all Victorian-based businesses that was shut down after July the 1st, and thousands are expected to take part. The lawsuit is being launched by Damien Scatini from Sydney-based law firm Quinn Emanuel Urquhart and Sullivan, and Scatini was formerly with Maurice Blackburn, the firm known for successfully winning a class action against the Queensland government after the November 2011 floods. Next news item. KPMG and Amazon AWS are heavily involved in Australia's health, especially in Victoria, known as the Garden State. And KPMG has won 5 tender bids for contracts with the Victorian government this year, worth more than $4.17 million combined. And 3 of these were paid for by the Department of Health and Human Services to work on projects including the management of the government's 12-week COVID-19 testing implementation strategy. Amazon AWS are running and managing all of Australia's contact tracing database, and most probably worldwide. 2 things spring to mind over this. One is that the trustee stated she had shut down KPMG and their servers, which is clearly not the case, it seems. And secondly, this Amazon takeover of operations was stated and forecasted in our Clowns in Panic show in June last year, was it not? TikTok, TikTok for clowns. But this is TikTok of China. And the chief executive, Kevin Mayer, has resigned amid US pressure for its Chinese owner ByteDance to sell the popular video app, which the White House calls a security risk. Oh my, an app being a security risk. Well, I never. And in a letter to employees, Mr. Mayer said his decision came after the political environment had sharply changed. His resignation comes after US President Donald Trump ordered a ban on TikTok unless parent company ByteDance sold its US operations to an American company within 90 days. I have done significant reflection on what the corporate structural changes will require and what it means for the global role I have signed up for, Mr. Mayer said in a letter. Mr. Mayer was a former CEO of Playboy and then became an executive vice president for Disney. Make your own connections to that. But what amazes me here is this fear of China and their threats. And yet Mr. Trump, his son-in-law, and as we have been told, Trump's connections to the trustee, Kim, all bring up dealings with and of China. Kushner with his PPEs and masks, and even Kim with the biohealing machines, are coming out of China. Not to mention Pelosi, Biden and others having Chinese links either. But is this Chinese security risk not a contradictory statement? Or does it all come down to the fact that the CIA, NSA and their subsidiaries don't own or control it? I mentioned earlier of how THI has created a family, and we try our best to look after each other and also remember each other as well. This week marks the 2nd anniversary of a very painful opening to our show for me personally, and the passing of one of our members, Lisa Doherty. Much loved and missed by many still. THI wishes to remember her today with this song.